Yeah.
Well, good evening, everybody, and want to welcome you tonight to our Hendersonville Regional Planning Commission meeting, Tuesday, March 5th, and it's time to get started tonight. We'd like to call this meeting to order. First order of business is prayer, and I'd like everybody to stand, and Commissioner Altizer, you'll open us in prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you so very much for this day, and thank you for all that you've graced us with. Lord, be with this body tonight and help us to make good decisions. Let us do the right thing for this community. Lord, thank you for Hendersonville, and thank you for the United States, and thank you for all that you do for us and bless us. Continue to do it. All this we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. You may be seated. I'd like to note that everybody is present. And Ms. McCormick's showing up right now. Give her a big hand. Very good. We've got a full house, so good, 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 good. We're going to go to public hearings now, and I'm going to yield to Director Free. First two hearings that we're going to be hearing tonight, there's some special explanation that I'd like him to give and kind of what we're going to be doing here. Director Free.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to explain the first two public hearings, and we've combined those into one, are for the Anderson Park rezoning preliminary development plan, and that involves a rezoning request. So there's a hearing for that, and then additionally, it's a hearing for an amendment to the future land use map as well. And those are the two items that are on there. These were publicized earlier in last month. Since that time, the requirements after the initial review from the city staff, the developer in preparing the changes based on those initial staff comments, weren't able to make it to tonight's meeting. But the developer assures us that they'll have their full submittal ready for the Planning Commission to review in the April meeting. Therefore, these two items, we can still, if anybody's here to speak on those items, we'd be able to hear anything. But these two public hearings should remain open until the April meeting, and there'll be another opportunity at the April meeting for public comment, because then that'll catch up with the actual submission of the plan as well.
Thank you, Director Free. Just to recap on that, we will hear comments tonight on these two items, these two hearings, but we will leave them open. And for anyone that is interested, this will be back on the agenda in April. As Director Free said, you can come back and speak at that time as well. So, first one will be a request by Parkside Builders, LLC, to rezone 21.85 acres from General Commercial Plan Development, GC-PUD, to multifamily residential plan development, MFR-PD, and to approve a revised preliminary development plan for Anderson Park at Indian Lake Market. And then the second one, of course, is the request also includes an amendment to the general framework map of the Hendersonville land use plan and transportation plan to change the character area designation of the property from Suburban Center to Regional Activity Center. And the property is located east of Anderson Lane, north of East Main Street, as identified, Sumner County Property Tax Map 159J, Group A, Parcel 022.00. And the only one that we have speaking is Mr. Neil Chenault. If Mr. Chenault would come and introduce yourself, and you can use that microphone right there, we'd love to hear from you.
My name is Neil Chenault. I live at 410 East Main Street here in Hendersonville. Keith was kind enough to show me the plans that they have for the high-density subdivision behind Lowe's, and I was shocked when he told me that they were going to leave Calendar Lane a walking trail and a bike path. We would be opposed to anything that didn't open Calendar Lane to Parish Place and have through traffic on over to North Anderson Lane. We were promised by the city of Hendersonville in 2004 by Mayor Fuqua and the administration then that when they closed Calendar Lane at the railroad tracks, that the road would would be reopened when this property behind Lowe's developed. And my grandmother gave this Calendar Lane in 1945 to the county for a county thoroughfare, and we never intended it for it to be a walking path or a bike trail. And there's 32 feet of right-of-way that they can use, that they can, I've looked at the plan, they can take one of their interior roads out, they've got several of them, and incorporate Calendar Lane as one of their roads, and put frontage on Calendar Lane with their condominiums and townhomes. But we've waited patiently for 15 years for this. They've put up gates to keep people from dumping, and we've agreed to that. But we would like to see it reopened where you could drive through, and there was a $700,000 intersection at Calendar Lane built in 1996 by Mayor Thompson and that administration, and they took the light down when they closed it at the railroad tracks, but everything is there. If it ever needs a light again, it could just be put back up by the state. People could go to North Anderson if they need a light. If they're satisfied with a stop sign, they could come Calendar Lane. I understand people have enjoyed it as a walking path and a bike trail while it's been this way, but that's what sidewalks are for. They can put a sidewalk in and continue to walk, and we wouldn't be opposed if they put the gates that they've got now closing the road. After you get to the turn at Parish Place, they could put those gates back up to keep people from dumping on the back part until Mr. Tarver or whoever it is that owns that property next to Walmart on the west side of Calendar Lane, that when that's developed, they could go ahead and open the Calendar Lane up to the railroad tracks.
Right.
But as it stands right now, we're opposed to it. If they would amend their plan and include being able to drive on Calendar Lane, we would not be opposed to it. I've spoken to my brother and my sister and my mother.
Okay.
And we own the property that's on the east side of Calendar Lane, all the way to the railroad track behind the house. And we've been in the city since 2010, and we want to be good citizens of the city. At the same time, we want the city to keep their promises that they made to us, that road would be reopened once that land developed behind Lowe's. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. Chennault.
Thank you.
I would say, of course, once again, these two hearings will be held open, but I would say that since Mr. Chennault is the only speaker, there is no other speakers for this hearing, that it would be wise for planning and public works to get together and look especially at our transportation plan, our thoroughfare plan, and look at the access back on Calendar Lane, and then possibly get together with Parkside and to maybe put a meeting together to look at some of these concerns. I think that'd be a wise move. And I remember when we did all that on the Planning Commission, and the Calendar Lane access, I remember something like that. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but I think it's worth us taking a look at. I really do. So we'll research that out and try to get you some answers. And I know Director Free will, Mr. Chennault would since you're right there, possibly would love to have your input with Parkside as well. So thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to just to leave that hearing open. We're going to move on to the next hearing, which is a request by Neil Patel to amend the Indian Lake Center Final Master Development Plan to add special personal and group care facilities, daycare, child, to the list of permitted uses of Lot H located on the east side of Indian Lake Boulevard, north of East Main Street, as identified by Sumner County Property Tax Map 159J A031.00. And there is nobody signed up for that hearing, so we will declare that one closed. And then the next one is request by Parrish Robert Parrish and Dorothy Parrish Young to amend the Indian Lake Market Final Master Development Plan to add professional services and medical to the list of permitted uses for lots W, X, and Y located on the west side of Anderson Lane, north of East Main Street, as identified by Sumner County Property Tax Map 159G and A001.00. No one has signed up for that hearing, so we'll declare that one closed. So item number 3 on our agenda, is there a request for information and assistance from anybody? Hearing none. Are there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, we're going to move to the minutes of February the 5th. Do I have a motion? Moved by Mr. Millsaps. Do I have a second? Mr. Altizer. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, there's none. Okay. Moving on to our preliminary final development plans. So the first one is Indian Lake Market, lots W, X, and Y. The final development add use of professional services and medical, and they're agreeing to all staff comments. Mr. Free, who's handling this one?
Senior Planner Grant Green.
Mr. Green, do you have anything you'd like to add or say about this plan?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, sir. It's an application to add the professional services medical to one of the proposed lots in the Indian Lake Village. If you look at the map on the screen there, the two parcels in yellow, and this is actually all 3 of those highlighted are all part of one parcel. But in 2015, parcels, proposed lots X and Y there in yellow were added, professional use medical was added to those 2 lots back in 2015, along with several of the outlots along that, along Anderson Lane there. So this is really just a request to add W to that parcel that's already got the front portion as medical added to that parcel. So this is about 9 acres, and this is located across from Lowe's on Anderson Lane.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Green. They're agreeing to all staff comments. Do we have a motion to accept? Well, we have a motion by Mr. Lee, second by Ms. McCormick. Any discussion on this particular plan?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry if I
Yes.
could add one more thing. Since this is in addition to the use of for an FDP, it can require approval of the Planning Commission, but if it's a significant change, it would go to the board. However, if it's not considered a significant change, which given that is already, most of the parcel is already dedicated or allowed to have a medical use on that, it may not be a significant change in your all's opinion. Just kind of up to the Planning Commission to
Well, in the
determine that.
chair's opinion, given the fact that it's already a use that's there, I wouldn't say that it would be a significant change. I don't want to make a unilateral decision here, but what's the sense of the commission? Are we okay with that? All right. So we've got a motion, a second on the floor to add this permitted use. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's carried. All right, moving on to the Hazel Path Shopping Center remodel site plan. Mr. Free, who's handling that one?
That will be me.
Okay, go ahead.
This is really interesting. This is a shopping center remodel site plan for the Hazel Pass Shopping Center. This is actually the area that you see in red is the vacant Sears outlet property that was the previous old Walmart property. And it's about 95,893 square feet of building. There was a revised final development plan that was approved on this development back in January the 12th, 2016, that allowed for the addition of indoor storage facility at this location. As a part of that, it required significant improvement to the exterior of this property, the exterior of the Sears outlet building, and then also significant improvements to the whole parking lot and landscaping. And over the last couple of months, we've been working with the developers of this property. I think it's a fairly new owner of the whole development in order to come up with what those improvements would be to the building. You can see here from the drone footage, the facility. Let me kind of make that around a little bit. It's a large facility with a large footprint within this area. Let me just. And one of the things that I'll discuss, one of the things that was one of the agreements was there's a block wall here. It looked like from the parking lot maybe there's a building behind there, but it's just a block wall. The developer will be removing that block wall, putting landscape trees, picnic tables, and making sort of an outdoor eating area there. In this area right here, actually, a building could be built at some point in time in the future. Additionally, out here in this parking lot area where I've kind of got the hand going through there, there are 3 out parcels. So there could be retail, restaurants, and that type of thing, offices that could be located out in that parking lot. Also, if it goes out just a little bit further, there's an area, let me go back over here. There's an area over here to the, let's see if I can get it on there. Yeah, there's an area back over here that's kind of a grassy area near that Texas barbecue and I think the grill that's over there. There could be an out parcel that could be built there as well. Let me move this on to the next. Yeah, this is kind of what the facility looks like currently. They'll be doing a significant remodel where there's going to be a stone water table that's going to go around the whole building, as well as this whole front facade will change. These are some of the businesses that are currently in that whole shopping center in Hazel Path Commons. This is an illustration that gives you a good visual of what the new front will look like. They're installing inset brick in the front and on the sides. And if you know, right there on that side where it's all that concrete and there's kind of chain link fence and you have all of those overhead doors that are kind of on this side facing Main Street, all that's going to be gone, and it'll just it'll face this. What you see on this side was what would be facing that. And I think there's representatives from the developer here. If there are any questions, I believe the developer has agreed to all of the staff comments, and I might note that the developer has worked very well in working with the planning staff and the other departments in resolving all of the issues and concerns that we had.
Okay. Thank you, Director Free. If you'll just introduce yourself and go ahead and proceed.
Lee Horn, Reagan Smith Associates, with a civil engineer on this project, and we also have representation from the architecture firm, Michael Hyman Architects. Harry Harris is here as well. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commissioners? Mr. Lee.
Approximately how many people will be employed with this storage facility?
I'm
Any?
not sure.
There's an office inside that'll have 2 employees.
2 employees.
Be there full time.
Okay. Any other questions? Just one on the colors that you're looking at here on the report. Is that pretty much what we're looking at? That will be the color? Are we going to make any variations from that?
It will be close to that. It'll look closer to what the sample board was.
Okay, you might want to step up to the mic, and some of the commissioners didn't hear what you had to say, and I think it'd be very important. Do we have the sample board here?
No, it's in the plan.
Okay, it's fine, okay.
Okay, I'm Harry Harris with H. Michael Hammond Architects. The colors will look close to that. What it looks like on our computer at the office and how it prints out sometimes is, can vary. That's why, the sample boards are handy. But it will be fairly close to that, yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, when you say,
Oh, you push your mic.
when you say that it's going to be close to that, what do you mean by close?
It could just be just a tad darker,
So it's more likely to be darker than lighter?
yes. Just a little bit darker.
And it will be
now.
two-toned?
Yes.
Okay. And how does this type of storage work? How do people get their stuff inside of this building to, I'm assuming that if I rented a space, then I would be liable to get it in.
These type of spaces, most people will be able to take their stuff in through the front doors. Most of the units are 10 by 10, 10 by 20, typical of what you might see at an outdoor space. Some of them are larger. There's doors all around that'll have keypad or some kind of card key access for the customers. And we're leaving the existing dock in the back area, which has a ramp. If someone needs to put any larger stuff in there, they can come in the back way.
Do you all provide any type of equipment for people to move the larger stuff when they get it to the storage unit?
I do not know that.
What concessions are you making for, when you say they're going to go in the front door? Director Free's got that up there right now. U-Haul truck coming up there. What concessions are you making for preliminary, for parking, are they just going to have to park out in the lot? Or?
Larger trucks like that would go in the back, the dock area. There's a rather large existing ramp that goes up.
How are we going to police that?
I cannot answer that question.
Okay. Yeah. That is one thing about the use itself. When you have a storage facility that in times past, so when we've discussed storage uses, we've always wanted to know about where the trucks are going to come in and come out. That is a main thoroughfare coming through there. I don't know, the fire department, I know wouldn't want that blocked at all.
Right.
And I just think there needs to be some plan in place on how your traffic's going to bring things into the facility itself.
Right. We can certainly get with the owner and provide that.
I think that'd be good, because once again, technically it's already marked where there should be no parking there anyway. And if there was a fire or whatever in that place, and yeah, there's some loading docks back in the back there, but it's not conceivable that everybody's going to go there at those loading docks. That'd be great if they would,
Right.
and it's not a criticism. It's just
Right, I
think
understand.
it's a reality that I think that we need to look at, because that big a facility, you could potentially have cars and trucks in there all the time parking right in front of that building, and that could be a fire issue, could be a safety issue for the police. So something to think about.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
definitely. And like I said, we can provide that information for you.
Good deal, good deal. All right, any other questions?
I have
We-
one quick question.
Yes.
It's not towards the building, but you've mentioned a couple times out parcels. Do we have a slide showing where the out parcels sit, and are they oriented towards Benita Parkway, or are they oriented towards Main Street?
Yeah, we don't have the slide up here. I think it's in your It may not be in your, maybe in the plan.
I didn't see it when I was
Is
going
it in the
through
plan? No, not a packet, okay. There's out parcels out here in the parking lot. There's like one out in this area. Let me see if I've got a better, hold on just a second. Let's see what I had here.
Are those already permitted,
Yeah,
approved, or are they just,
they're already approved.
they're already
Yeah.
approved? So
What-
they
what
can't
could
do
go there?
anything towards
No.
that?
What could go there, Keith?
I think in that area, and Mr. Witten, tell me if there's anything additional. I believe it's retail, commercial uses, restaurants, those types of things are what would be allowed in that area. And then this doesn't show the out parcel, but the out parcels, there's one right here. There's another one right here, and I think there's another one, I think, right in this area, and then this also is another parcel.
All three
that
of
could
those
be
out
built.
parcels will be located in front of the self-storage
Oh, right there,
facility.
okay, so one right here, here, and here.
That's correct.
So additional construction that could happen on the property in the future could be an out parcel at this location, at that location, there, right here where that green space is, that they're tearing down that wall, there could be a building there, and there also could be a building where the grass is over here in this location. And that's all approved, and the use of the storage was all approved in 2016. Previous to that, there were not as many out parcels, but in 2016, they allowed 2 additional out parcels out in the front of the building.
Keith,
Mr.
those-
Whitten, do you have anything to add to that?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Longmire?
Keith, I wanted to
Yes.
ask, those out parcels, it would be allowed to have a restaurant?
Yes.
And would it be like a Hardee's or McDonald's? It could be a drive-through where you're going to have cars going around and around?
I think it could be. It could be. And then what'll have to happen is when those future out parcels do develop, then they would have to come back before us with a site plan. And then we would have to look at, the traffic flow and some of those different things. But the approval of the use is currently approved. But there's not a specific building or a layout of specific if it was a quick serve, how would that drive lane work and the drive-throughs? But we would work all that out when they submit a site plan for the property.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I see no other lights up in the queue here, so just to be clear, this is a site plan. It's already, the uses are okay. They're agreeing with all staff comments. However, I would like there to be some discussion with staff. I think it'd be really wise to kind of come to an agreement on how the traffic's going to flow through there and maybe get fire and police involved with that to make sure that everybody's safe.
We can do that, yes.
Appreciate that. Okay, hearing Mr. Lee.
Yeah, just, Mr. Chairman, following up on our discussion on where these out parcels are, I think it would be beneficial to the commission at our April meeting if we could actually have an update and see where these would be and see what the whole development could look like. I mean, that will just help us in our future planning and visioning and things of that nature.
Very good. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Didn't somebody move that? I thought there was a motion and a second on that one. Well, let me step back then. I thought you moved it and you seconded it.
That was the previous one.
We get discussing things here. All right, well, let's step back, rewind the tape a little bit. We need a motion on this. Motion to approve. Okay, motion by Ms. Silkwood, second by Ms. Stringfellow. We have a discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. So sorry about that. I thought we'd already done it. Okay, Hendersonville Rugby Field site plan. Who's doing this one?
Mr. Witten, our Assistant Director.
Good deal.
The Hendersonville Rugby Club is requesting to put a couple of rugby fields on the area there in red, which is located off of Avant Lane across from Durham Farms. You can see the Durham pump station there right off the road, and the Durham detention pond. And then the two rugby fields would be located between there and the creek. This is property that was donated by Durham to the city for its use as parkland. They will have a couple of rugby fields, a parking lot, a couple of parking lots, maybe some bleachers, and then some field lights. They have agreed to all staff comments.
They agree to all staff comments. Do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So moved. And who, second? Second by Mr. Altizer. Ms. Silkwood, do you have any comments on this?
No, I am not planning to vote on this or participate in the discussion since my husband was involved with the
So you're
project.
recusing yourself?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, very good. Please make that note in the minutes. All right, we have a motion, a second. Mr. Lee?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to make special note that I certainly commend our Hendersonville Rugby Club. I also want to commend Durham Farms. Is this not an ideal way that our city parks should be developed? That developers that have a great opportunity to develop a piece of property, but also make a contribution to the city, and then the city or other recreational groups such as the Rugby Club have an opportunity to develop that at no cost to the city in terms of the land itself or to the development of the park. So I just wanted to make a notation that this is an exemplary sort of project that we should always be striving for.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Woodcock?
Thank you. A few months ago, we deferred a vote at BOMA to close Avant Lane. Is this going to impact that at all? Has that been in consideration with this donation?
Mr. Whitten?
No, sir, that has not been in discussion as far as I'm aware of.
So if we do close it, I assume we would just close it up to the point, and I don't know what page it is. Page...
Yeah, I believe that would be south
Three.
of that. Is that right, Keith? The closure would be south of that.
Yeah, if, right here, this is Avant, where it says Drake's Creek, but it's Avant. And this is the road that had been the discussion several months ago at BOMA about closing that road. There was nothing settled on that, on closing it at that time. I'm sure it'll be revisited at some point in time, but if that was to ever close, it would close off down in this area below where the access to the park would be. It'd actually be somewhere right where those homes are in that area, which would be right down in here somewhere on Avant. So if the road ever was closed in the future, it's not going to cut off access to this park, or that parkland. But nothing's been determined yet on whether it's going to be closed or exactly what's going to happen with that road. But it's not, when we talk about closed in the sense of this particular road, typically when we're talking about closed, it's, hey, we're going to close it and we're going to remove the road. In this case, the actual road would stay. It would just be access to it from probably, if you did close it, access from here at Drake's Creek all the way up to just about where those houses are. That's probably where you would not be able to access it unless you were emergency vehicle or parks employees.
So if we do close it, you'd have to go through the neighborhood and zigzag through the homes?
You'd have to come through here, to do
Get
that.
over there.
Or you'd have to come off of New Shackle and come down and come back through that way. So that would be the way.
I'm definitely supportive of this. I think it's a big question mark, because
Yeah.
I think we even discussed putting the gate that, what's it called, with the firemen just pull up and...
Yeah, crash gate.
Yeah. That's my only concern. And
Yeah.
I know Shane's here. Have they talked to you more about putting those up? All right. What I see happening is if we vote for this, which I plan to do, that discussion of closing that road will go away, because they'll be virtually,
Yeah.
You're gonna need
so
it.
just know that
Yeah.
when we vote for it.
And I think one discussion that definitely will, we're looking at it, and that hopefully in this next year, we'll be maybe addressing plans for what to do with this intersection. I think everybody's familiar with how cumbersome it is and somewhat dangerous, the intersection that's right in this area with Anderson and Avon and Countryside and Drake's Creek. Addressing that will probably help address what the future of Avon would be as well.
Okay, any more questions? Do I have a motion?
You already got one.
Are you serious?
You have a motion and a
Who made the
Who
motion?
made the motion?
I did.
Okay, and who seconded it? Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
I didn't hear that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One abstention is Silkwood, that's right. Moving on to ServPro, site plan.
This will be Grant Green, our senior
Mr. Green.
planner.
Thank you, sir. This is a site plan for a facility located on Innovation Way, and it's located south of Volunteer Drive off of New Shackle Road. The structure's intended to be primarily for warehouse and distribution. About 12,000 square feet will be warehouse, and 4,080 square feet for office. Property's 1.5 acres, zoned industrial. It's not part of a planned development, and the use is allowed at that site. The front exterior is pretty consistent with industrial buildings. There's some brick and Evis. And in addition, the site is actually located, that's Innovation Way on our drone footage, and the site's located right in that area, just to the north of that, well, the west of that cul-de-sac, and right in that area where the hand is on there. But one other item to note is the applicant has requested a waiver of the brick and stone requirement on the detention pond structures, which is also very consistent with industrial buildings and limited visibility off of that cul-de-sac area and off of New Shackle there. So it's kind of wouldn't be very visible. But there's the exterior drawings. You can see the front. That's actually the sides there, and there's the front to the top, and then that would be the back there on the bottom. So there's metal on the sides and the back, but the front, which would be the visible portion of the building, it's made up of Evis and brick there.
Okay. So, did I hear you say they're requesting a waiver?
Yes, sir. It's just for the detention pond structures. I think they probably they're requesting to do concrete rather than have the brick or stone face, just because the detention pond is located near the front of the building.
Okay, is there somebody from the developer here? Yeah. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Lee Horn, Reagan Smith. I also have representation from the architect, Cast Architecture, and the ownership here tonight.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. So on this waiver, talk to me a little bit about this waiver one more time.
Yes, sir. It's normally the detention pond structure should have a face that's made up of brick or stone.
Right.
But I think what they will probably use is concrete, which is typical for detention pond structure. Is that
right
when you say typical detention pond structures? So they're requesting a waiver of that requirement just because it's located at the front of the building.
Yeah, I was just questioning visibility, and I think we're okay on that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's located in that cul-de-sac, so it wouldn't be visible from any streets that have a high average daily traffic count.
All right, I just wanted to clarify. All right, any more questions? Do we have a motion to accept?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve
Mr. Lee.
and the waiver as requested.
Okay. Second, Mr. Stringfellow. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's approved. Related projects, Indian Lake Center, Lot H, FDP ad use, special personal and group care, facilities and daycare. Who's handling that one, mister?
This will be Timothy Witten, our Assistant Director, and I might note, we discussed last time about grouping projects instead of separating them throughout the agenda. This is one of the first ones on the agenda that we're grouping two things, the adding of the use of daycare and the site plan. And this is something that at the end of it could be combined and just voted as one item.
Okay. Mr. Witten.
So the first item, the addition of the use, this site is located on the west side of Indian Lake Boulevard across from Life Church. It is zoned GCPD. All the surrounding and adjacent lots are also zoned GCPD. Surrounding uses are a dentist on the north side, doctor's offices on the south, and of course the church across the street. The vacant property to the west is also zoned GCPD. They are requesting to add a daycare as an approved use on Lot H, the lot in red. In the staff report, you may have seen the little discussion about the road extension. That has since been resolved. They have agreed to build that short extension of the future Cherokee Road North.
Okay. Do you have anybody from the developer? Want to introduce yourself? And
Brad Bork with GMC. I'm the civil engineer on this project. We also have representative of the architecture, the owner Neil Patel, and Kitty Academy, which is the daycare there.
Okay. On our notes here, it talks about that you're wanting you want to discuss planning comment number 9.
Which one was that again?
Is it about the retaining wall? Yeah.
If I didn't realize we were going to do the site plan at the same time. I can speak to that.
Go ahead.
Planning comment number 9 about the retaining wall, that has also been resolved. The applicants have agreed to that comment, so that has gone away. There is, however, one waiver that they do need to get obtained if possible, and that has to do with the size of the parking spaces. You're probably aware that our standard parking space is 9 feet by 18 feet deep. Our zoning ordinance does allow, in some instances, where it allows for a 16-foot deep stall, where the stall is adjacent to a minimum of 7-foot wide sidewalk. And on this site plan, the sidewalk around the building is 7 feet wide, and so they would like to have those parking spaces 16 feet deep. Again, that is in accordance with our ordinance. However, this particular plan development, the Indian Lake Center plan development, the design guidelines for that development stipulate that all spaces have to be 9 feet by 18 feet wide. So they would need a waiver of that standard. Again, that's an Indian Lake Center standard. So they would need a waiver of that from the Planning Commission, and then on the ARC side, they would need the ARC to agree to that as well. That's pending, is my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the recommendation of staff on this waiver?
So we've discussed this with the engineer and have come to an agreement about having the 16-foot stalls adjacent to the building, and that's acceptable to staff.
Okay.
If that's acceptable to the Planning Commission.
So it would be okay with you to grant the waiver then?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Okay, we have this before us. Any questions by the commissioners?
I have a question.
Ms. McCormick. Go ahead.
So, hi. Okay, so first of all, I was excited when I saw this plan because I thought it was adorable for a 2-story daycare, which I was like, boy, the little kids running upstairs is going to be exciting for the people downstairs. But either way, I still thought it was very attractive, even though I was like, it looks a little hotel-like. But your playground in our packet, and I was looking at our booklet, with all the renderings. So is it just a small playground in the backyard? I couldn't quite tell what that rendering exactly was.
The rendering that you're showing doesn't really show the,
But in our booklet, there's like, I saw like something that looked like a slide and something else. Is there?
there will be some equipment there at the playground for them to play on. There will also be, there's a figure eight. You can see
Figure,
mostly.
yeah, I saw the
It's all
figure
on the
eight.
site plan.
Mhm.
They also have a smaller area that's more fenced in for the younger children.
Okay.
And then they're also going to have a splash pad as a third piece to, there are going to be 3 different pieces to the playground.
Okay.
Okay.
May I
Ms.
ask,
Longmire.
I'd like to ask you, in the two-story idea, are you going to have children kept on the second floor as well as the first floor?
Yes, and it's mostly going to be the older children that will be on that second story. So the younger
And they go
children-
up and down the stairs as opposed to an elevator, or?
There is an elevator, but I would imagine they'll go up and down the stairs most of the time. You want to address that? This is the owner.
Neil Patel, developer. There will be an elevator that goes from the first to the second floor, and it abides by the coding. We made sure that that was a priority per Hendersonville, that the coding would allow an elevator with a two-story facility.
And when you say older children, what is older?
So it's 2.5 years or older. That would be in the second floor. Anyone that's 2.5 years or younger would be in the first floor.
Okay. Ms. Longmire, anything else?
No, that's.
Ms. Silkwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could someone walk us through what the playground will look like from Indian Lake Road and from the building, I guess if you're facing the building, to the right, to the left? What kind of fencing and all of that, if you could? Thank you.
Yeah, so there's going to be fencing surrounding the left side, as you can see from the picture. The left side of the building will be where the playground is, and there's going to be an encumbering fence around it, making sure that no kids get loose. But that there will be a fence that abides by to the left side.
If I may, I realize there would be a fence. What will it? As I'm driving down Indian Lake Road, what will I see? Will it be a very bright splash pad? Are you going to screen it in any way? Is it going to be a wrought iron fence? Is there going to be posts that are made of brick? What will it look like exactly?
So, quote me if I'm wrong, John, but the fence around the actual playground is 4 feet. Is that?
Yes, it's an ornamental aluminum iron fence, black.
And you will be able to see the playground from Indian Lake.
You will be able to see, you'll be able to see what's going on in the playground.
No, you won't.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Randy Perry with Goodwin Mills Kaywood. Do you have a landscape plan in your packet? All right, turn to that. It's L1.1, and I'll walk you through it. On this plan, at the top of the sheet is Indian Lake Boulevard. So to the left is north. So if you're driving in a northbound, you'll be on the other side of Indian Lake Boulevard, the median. There is a landscape screen along the side street and along Indian Lake Boulevard. So no matter which direction you'll be approaching from, you won't see the playground, you'll see the landscape screen.
Got it. Okay.
There will be a fence behind the landscape screen.
Okay. That's what I was looking for.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification on
Sure.
that. Appreciate that. Ms. Longmire, any more
No,
questions?
that's it. No, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Silkwood, anything else? Any more questions? Mr. Woodcock?
Thank you. Can you tell me or describe how you're different from the other 4 or 5 daycare preschools in the area? Goddard School, Academy, Rainbow?
Yeah,
Primrose?
definitely. So there's a couple things that we're implementing. One of the points being a part of the playground that we just discussed. None of the competitors have a splash pad, a water-themed sort of playground sector of the playground itself overall, as well as none of the academies allow allow cameras to, I guess, envision the kid. So for a mother or father, they could see their kid through an app based off cameras through every age group. but that's some of the extra accommodations that we'll have as opposed to others.
Thank you. Okay, we have this on project before us. Here's what the motion needs to be, that we would accept Indian Lake Center Lot H FDP ad use, and then accepting the Kitty Academy site plan with the waiver of comment. Somebody help me real quick here. What's the comment number? No, it wasn't 9. It was the 9 by 6. Waiver on the parking space. Planning comment number 4. So that's the motion we need. Anybody want to make that?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. McCormick, second. Second by Ms. Stringfellow. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No by Mr. Woodcock. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so we'll move now to staff reviewed projects that are approved. Cumberland Hills, Section P, resub, lots 9A and B, final plat. Messenger and Sill Properties, the racetrack, final plat. Verizon Wireless Small Cell at Walmart, number 8257, site plan. Those are staff reviewed projects that are approved. Staff reviewed projects that are pending. Exxon Canopy Addition on the site plan, Harbor Hill Section 2. Indian Lake Village Phase 5, resub, Lot 24, final plat. Old Beaverwood Recording Studio, parking lot renovation site plan. And Saundersville Industrial Park, Section 7, resub, Lot 70, the Go Store It, final plat. And then the Waterfront Creekwood exterior renovation site plan. These are projects that are pending right now. Hearing no, is there any on other planning director comments? Mr. Free, have anything?
No comments this evening.
No comments. Okay. With that, Mr. Millsaps, do you have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we stand in adjournment until the calling of the chair.
All right. Thank you. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Altizer. We are adjourned.
Excellent, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, good job.